Hello, hello, hello. It's your Professor Coach LE. I am super excited to welcome you to November. And it is officially November the 2nd. So I am hoping when you receive this message, you're having a motivated Monday. As most of you know, I love alliterations. Chapter 12 in a class communication course that I'm teaching talks about how we use language to connect with people. Well, this is the week of persuasion. And you're noticing on the screen, there's a big question for each of you. What problem or problems are you committed to solving? And typically, when we are in class, we have used service learning themes to be a part of our topics for call to action speeches. Even though you are not expected to do a service learning project, you are so encouraged to think about and reflect on what causes have you supported over the last year or causes that you are very committed to. And I put some topics on the board here: animals, aging, art, disabilities, domestic, family, of course, could be a part of that, environment, health, hunger, homelessness, youth, and more. The next couple of weeks, you'll be focusing on your persuasive efforts and learning strategies on how to organize a persuasive message. We are going to play with what you're currently doing that's working and look at what maybe marketing and companies are doing to persuade you and to tap into your basic needs to solve problems that you have. And I will introduce you to sustainable goals this week. So you can go ahead and just begin the writing process, developing your call to action message. Next week, we will continue to explore what is necessary for what we call methods of persuasion. You'll probably experience some of those during this week, considering it is the election week. In addition to that, next week we have Veterans Day. So there's a lot of different causes, a different, I guess, topics or issues to pay attention to and think about what you're learning in this class and how you can apply those strategies and those methods to creating your own effective call to action. So let's get started. This is just going to be a quick welcome. It's something that I wanted to do differently for the rest of the year. We have 2 months left, and I hope you each are exploring how can you elevate your life, elevate how you're showing up in your home, in your community, or even in your academics or your own business. So this is one way that I've decided to step it up a little bit so you can see my face a little more and see the campus. So for those of you who are not students and you're watching this, this is our campus at Anne Arundel Community College. And what I love about what this background is connected to is if you were on our campus, you would see our Martin Luther King Memorial. And I believe that that is the number one speech of the 20th century. And when we talk about the top American speeches, so that's something else that I will share and remind students about looking at and exploring which speakers really made social impact and their rhetoric and the development of the speech and how it was impactful in their call to action. So the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech is one of the top in the top 10. So let's go ahead and get started. I have some contact information. If you are on social media, go for it. Check it out. See what's happening on Instagram. Tag me and any of your call to action speeches, Professor Coach LE. A lot of my Instagram work is more coachy. As most of you know, I'm not only a professor, but I'm also a coach. And so that means life coach, business coach, engagement, how you show up. There's a lot of inspiring posts around that. In addition to Twitter, we have counts. I truly believe the communication counts, how you not only just show up, but verbally and non-verbally as you're connecting to and people interpersonally, intra communication as well, and just small group and team building. So we'll go ahead and move our slide. Bear with me. I am learning by doing. One of the things you're going to learn about in this chapter 16, for those of you who are in this course, chapter 16 deals with speaking to persuade. So I wanted to verbally introduce you to a format that you are expected to use in this call to action speech. What's so unique about this, most commercials use this to sell their products. So attention, A lot of you already are familiar with what does it take to get your attention or get your audience's attention. So it could be asking a question, opening with a quote. And one of my favorite quotes of all time, Aristotle, the mark of an educated mind or an educated person is one who can entertain an idea without accepting it. And so in these times and during this process of learning how to do a persuasive speech, I want you to think about how you entertain ideas or not, and how you can strengthen that skill of being able to entertain ideas that might not be similar to yours, but that's the mark of an educated person, an educated mind, being able to do that. So opening with a quote, it really connects. Opening with a visual aid, and I'm looking for one of my favorite visuals to use when we talk about letting your light shine, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. If you are working with me in small groups or in education in corporate America, small businesses, I love the symbolism of a candle. So if you have an object or an artifact that you can utilize to get your audience's attention, that is another approach. You are more than welcome to ask questions, and there's a whole chapter dedicated to giving you some examples of what you can do to get your audience's attention. Next thing is the body of the speech starts with defining a problem. Your first main point must define an existing problem with your topic or theme. Think about or a need for change. Now, what I want to pause for a moment and remind each of you that persuasive speaking is the whole purpose of persuasion is really it's the process of creating a belief, reinforcing or changing a belief. So you're creating, reinforcing or changing a belief. So when you understand who your target audience is and understand who you're marketing to or presenting to, then your first point when you're defining that problem, your research changes based on that. So keep that in mind. We're still looking for credible sources. You want to tap into our library, academic resources, or your public library, or maybe you have a personal home library where you can truly define a problem. And how do you define a problem? Using the strategies that you've already applied in an informative speech. So you can define a problem by looking at the causes and the effects of that. You can explore a problem by looking at historical, chronological. So there's a lot of ways to define a need for change, and you've already learned about that. So tap back into those chapters if you need to. And if you want to dive a little deeper and more, you can contact me directly, and I'll do some one-on-one and or maybe small group discussion around that. So once you have clearly defined a problem for this project, you need to satisfy the problem, propose a solution, reinforce what's currently working. Maybe a part of your solution is something that's already in place, or maybe your goal is to present something new. Visualization is really the step of saying, hey, this is clear that the benefits of adopting this plan, or here's what life will look like if we don't. So you can go both ways depending on how much time you have. Do you want to do highlight the benefits or showing what will happen if we don't adopt this plan or the belief system, and then your call to action happens in the conclusion. It can be two ways here. We can do passive agreement or active or immediate action. Immediate action, you want us to donate blood. You want us to go through the closets and collect items to donate to a particular cause. You want us to like you on Facebook page or to sign up for a particular event. That's immediate action. Passive agreement, I'm just challenging your belief that homelessness is a problem in Anne Arundel County or homelessness is a problem in Maryland. So whatever that issue is, I'm just trying to define the problem, saying here's what action could take place, but it's more passive agreement. And you'll see some wonderful examples in your textbook around that. So I will pause here and actually, let's keep it moving. There's something else that I want you to think about in this chapter. It talks about questions of fact, value, and policy. And I want you to think about when was the last time you found yourself trying to persuade someone to your point of view. And when we think about Monroe's motivated sequence, this can really happen and be useful in interpersonal communication as well. So it's time to play. This week, you're going to prepare a brief analysis using the following questions in your textbook. If you're not a part of the class and you're checking this out, there's some wonderful questions of reflection of how to or what your attempt has been when you were trying to persuade someone and reflecting on what worked and what didn't. And so one other thing that I want this group to think about as you are exploring Speaking to Persuade this week, your topics. I do want to go back to topics, and I'll be posting some topic ideas. I'll go back to this that are centered around sustainable goals. So you are able to use, we're nudging you to think about the top 17 sustainable goals that cover so much. And let me just fast forward. This is the lecture you're going to see a little bit more later, but I wanted to go ahead and click. And if it doesn't allow me to click, I will stop sharing for just one moment. And thank you for bearing with me. I love technology. And how about we just stop here? And I will post sustainable goal a link with this particular video. And so the list of the sustainable goals will allow you to explore what's important to you. Just to give you some examples, it could be environment, homelessness, it is, world hunger. And the sustainable goals are dealing with global issues, but I want you to think about how you can localize that. There we have it. I'm so happy to see you, and I'm happy you're able to see me. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out. In the meantime, we are going to stop right now and let you go have fun in our modules and do some discussions this week. Make it a great day. Yay.